This is Inside the RV. Inside the RV. A music industry podcast about entrepreneurship, work ethic, self-development, and building your career in music. You're joined by your hosts, artist-manager Jacob Moore and music artist Ryan Ramirez. Get ready. This is Inside the RV. Inside the RV.
Yo, what's up, insiders? Welcome back. This is Inside the RV, episode 51. Pretty crazy. We're out here. We've got a great guest today. We appreciate everybody listening. I am your host. My name's Jacob Moore, along with our other host,
Ryan Ramirez.
I'm an artist manager. Ryan's a music artist, and together we're building our careers in music, and we're telling you all about it here on the podcast. So,
Yes, sir.
Pretty stoked. As I said, we have a guest today, somebody who is a really great business mind and creative, which is so cool. We actually met at one of his events, a week or two ago, probably.
Yep.
And very successful event. Me and Ryan was one of the entertainers of the night, and it was great. His whole crew killed it. We have the owner and founder of the group LegendariMinds, which has its hands in business, creativity, arts, all different types of things, which I'm super stoked to get into today. He is also the lead designer for HipHopDX, which is a media outlet in hip hop. Yeah, all hip hop. And this guy, I'm just so excited to pick your brain and talk about all the creative stuff. Everybody, please welcome JR.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, brother, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you guys?
Good, man. Stoked to be doing another episode and connecting. And I'm actually hyped to learn more about you because we really only talked a little bit, like before and after the show and during and stuff. And so, yeah, man. Now I know you're from Long Beach. So are you born and raised there?
Nah, I actually was born and raised in Southgate. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Southgate. Yeah. Pretty much all my life. My whole school was pretty much elementary to high school. I did live in the valley for a little bit, San Fernando Valley.
Oh, yeah?
But that was just for like a year. Mm-hmm. So I was just pretty much Southgate raised, and then after that, Long Beach.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. So let's talk a little bit first about LegendariMinds. So for all the listeners, what is LegendariMinds?
So it's hard to put it in a box, but I mean,
go off. Yeah.
It's so for sure, it's just like a group of collectives, but it's starting to transition to kind of like more business minded, like you said.
Uh-huh.
I'm partnering up with someone soon to do more production end of things, like shooting music videos and those type of things. But also besides that, like entertainment and media work, there's also the music side, which you've met a lot of the guys the day of the show. Is Michael, Anthony, Alpha, Elance, and Zay. And I'm a type of dude that if I see somebody and I really rock with what they're doing and I feel like someone has potential for something, I don't mind investing into somebody. And thankfully for me on my end, there's just a lot of different things I know how to do. So I used to offer that kind of like as a bartering system. I used to be like, yo, let's try to do something together. I'll do this for you. And then obviously you do this. And let's just try to make something work. And so, that's how I started with Mike and Anthony. They were actually the first two. And I really believed in their music. I think they're super talented. And so the idea just came from them. But then also beforehand, there was some other people I used to do music with. And our name was actually Alien Mindset.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that was before. And that was pretty much what taught me a lot of different things.
Yeah.
No bad blood or nothing with those guys at all, but they just, had different ideas and they wanted to go a different route.
They just moved differently?
Yeah, just moved differently. And so I still had that mindset. For me, LegendariMinds is this. I feel like we all can be legendary in what we do no matter what it is. Like, any kind of job or whatever that you do. And then the other side of it is that for me, when I pass, I want to leave a nice legacy behind. what showed me that actually was that I had a close friend who passed away a couple of years ago. His name was DJ Effecto. And he was a dope dude, really talented, super dope DJ, chef, photographer. And he was known, in some parts. And what was dope was when he died, we had a celebration for him. And it was crazy because, like, everybody who showed up, the event, like, everybody was, like, happy. And, like, everybody acted like family. And even though I didn't know everybody, but, like, the beautiful thing was that everybody would say the same thing about him, like how he was. And for me, that triggered in my head. I was like, yo, like, this is beautiful, like, to be remembered like this. And also, not just after passing away, but everybody felt that way about him while he was living, too. And I was like, yo, man, this is what I want to make sure I have going on now, and then also that I leave behind. And so that's what my mind just started playing with, that whole idea of being legendary and a legacy. So the whole idea of LegendaryMinds came about. And so, like, all the music and everything we do, it's just honestly really to encourage people to do what they love. Because I know now it's getting definitely way better, but I remember growing up as a kid, a lot of people get, like, pressured and you should be a doctor, you should be this, you should be that. And I'm super grateful that with my parents, they were real supportive in whatever I wanted to do.
That's a blessing.
It was a huge blessing. And because of that, I'm grateful where I'm at now. And so, I can't speak for everybody on that subject, but I know now I still like to push that because, like, I know people still go through that. It's hard to find out what you want to do. I still have friends right now around my age who still don't know what they want to do. And, like, so I try to encourage them, like, you still got some time, but just don't like it either. Like, just do what you're passionate about, So, yeah, that's kind of like...
And so what was the first thing or skill set, I should say, that you bartered with somebody?
So my main thing has been graphic design.
Okay.
At a young age, I got exposed to Photoshop real young. I'm talking about the old school Photoshop.
Yeah.
And so I used to mess around with it. As time progressed, I just learned pretty much self-taught with some people teaching me. But the first time I ever did it was like in a, I guess you could say, in a grander scale, was there was this artist out in Oceanside. His name's John Gibbs. He was a part of this independent label called King's Dream Entertainment at the time. And I was a real fan of his. Loved his music. And I saw on social media, this is when Instagram was kind of barely starting off. Early stages. I reached out to him because he posted up that he was working on his project. So I reached out to him and I was like, hey, man, I'm a huge fan. I saw that you're dropping your project. I'm like, are you down to let me design your cover art? I'm like, you can check out my Instagram page, or if you need any references, I could shoot them to you. And, man, that dude hit me up. I kid you not, like, I think the next day or something, like right away.
Nice.
And he was like, yeah, bro, let's make it happen. And so I didn't ask for payment or nothing. It was just more like I wanted an opportunity. And so the opportunity, I did the whole album, cover art. And then the guy that ran the independent label loved what I did so much and just loved how I worked that he ended up having me do like the whole album release, like graphic work, like flyers, tickets. And then next thing you know, I ended up doing a bunch of work for them. Like I rebranded their logo. I helped them do like a couple of other things as time progressed.
And did they pay you for that?
Yeah, at that time, yes.
Nice.
But I tell people all the time in the beginning stages, you gotta. It's a hustle. You know, you gotta be humble about it.
For sure.
I was. I went at it. not looking to get paid, but I knew going for the opportunity of building with somebody, it can be sometimes greater than just be like, oh, it's gonna cost you, this much.
For sure.
I think that's a weird balance to figure out for anybody in the industry. It's I feel like the music industry specifically is like, it's so weird because obviously you want to get paid for everything you do, but then there's like opportunities and relationship building that all come into play. That's like it can be kind of weird to make sure like you're not building transactional relationships, but at the same time you want to get paid. Now I know nothing about that because I'm an artist and I pay everybody else, so I don't get paid for shit. But I always find that interesting, as part of the industry.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think in my experience, it's kind of like I try to see it on both ends of the spectrum. Because like at the time, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm a super famous designer or whatever, but at the time I was literally like a nobody.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I come at it like if I was them, I'm down to pay this guy, but he kind of needs to show me he could do it too, because I don't really have much to go off of.
Yeah.
And so like I used to approach it like that a lot all the time in the beginning, and now obviously because I have a resume and a portfolio of work, it's kind of like now I'm able to be like, this is my rate, and if you can't afford it, I'm sorry.
It is what it is. Yeah,
I can refer you to somebody else, or maybe next time we could work in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's funny and it's hard.
Yeah.
But I also think it has to come with just how you vibe with the person.
Yeah,
for sure.
You can tell when someone is interested in actually building versus someone who's just trying to like get in and out. Like, I just need this, I want this, and then
you can feel when it's genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't get tricked, because I've fallen into that too.
Yeah.
But that's why, you got to learn, and I definitely encourage this to anybody, is take deposits, man, because you don't want to get done dirty, because that's happened to me plenty of times.
Yeah. And I think it's really easy when it comes to creative work for people to do that, because it's hard to put a valuation on some sort of creative work. Like if you say, hey, I'm going to be the feature on your song, or I'm going to draw this for you, or whatever, sometimes you can't really itemize how many hours it's going to take, how many different pencils you're going to use, or how many digital tools you're going to use, or whatever. So because I did digital work for my first year out of college. All I did was digital freelance marketing work. And so it was really easy for people to be like, hey, can you just do this real quick? Can you add this on? And then it finally got to the point where I had so many clients that I financially could afford to say, well, you either pay for this revision or you pay for this, or here's my retainer, But what I will say is that, at the beginning, there is a lot of, you kind of have to have some give, as long as it's the right opportunity to help you take a step forward. And I think what you did was something that the audience could find really valuable. So like when you were saying that, I was like, oh, I hope everybody's taking notes right now, because I don't think there is a shortage of opportunities. I think if you're searching and you're preparing yourself, there's a lot of good opportunities that can come your way. I think the difficulty comes in sifting through those opportunities and seeing where you can give a little bit and say, okay, I'm not going to charge this guy, but is this going to be mutually valuable for both of us and help me get to the next step? And that's what you did. And that's why I asked. I said, oh, okay, so you did that work for, what was his name?
John Gibbs.
So you did that work for John Gibbs. It was kind of like, hey, we're both helping each other out. We're stoked. I'm a fan of yours. You fuck with my designs. Dope. And then, months later or whatever it was, you probably woke up and went, oh, now his label or his agency's paying me to do work, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of times that sometimes, that happens. And that, it's funny because I remember even seeing a video of, like, I'm pretty sure you guys have seen or Gary V. I don't know if you ever seen a couple of videos on that.
Oh yeah, bro.
Where he's like, he says like, reach out to people and don't think about you're gonna get paid right away.
DM 6,000 people.
It's just that if you're passionate about what you do, you're gonna figure out a way to connect with people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like, it's funny because even like right now, I'm a little new in the world of like photography. Okay. So like, I feel weird. Like, I just started doing this recently because I just started my page. And I feel weird hitting up models and be like, hey, Would you like to work, collab?
Yeah.
Because number one, I don't want to come off as a creep.
Yeah.
And then number two, it's like their time is valuable just as mine. And like I'm down to pay a model, but if we can work something out where I don't have to pay you and you don't have to pay me at the moment, like it would be even better. Because I'm trying to start up my portfolio.
Sure.
And like even though a lot of people tell me like, oh, your photos are great already, like you don't really have much to worry about, I'm like, nah, there's a lot of stuff I need to learn still. Like,
for sure.
Especially when it comes to cameras, you got to worry about lighting and all these different things.
Totally.
And I'm still like a noob at all that stuff. And so like even now I'm still doing it. And I feel like there's nothing wrong with doing that with like the right people.
Yeah.
Because like you never want to miss an opportunity. Like I'll tell you this much right now, like I'm a huge fan of like Kanye. If I had an opportunity to do something for him and I would not charge. I'd just be like, I'm going to do it,
For sure.
And then hopefully from there, something great comes out of it. So yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times we just got to be humble about things.
Just feel it
sure.
out. Person by person.
Feel it out.
Yeah. And I think in a creative industry like music, I mean, especially as a manager, the number one thing on my mind is like, and this is on the other end, you were saying like sometimes I would forego some money for an opportunity. I would say like if you have an opportunity where you can work with somebody and you can save some money and the result is going to be good and you're both hyped on it, save some dough. But I will say that Ryan, taught me, I'm like super business background, business degree. Like we got ROI focus. Like we got to save money. Ryan really told me like, scared money doesn't make money. Yeah. And sometimes you do have to pay and take those opportunities that may be a little more financially riskier. Yeah. But I'm all the way with you, especially in a creative industry. Like if you can barter services with somebody, and I hate hearing this bullshit about how people are like, no one wants to help me, there's no opportunities. It's like, listen, when you prepare yourself enough and you're putting in work and showing results to people that are valuable to others in your industry, people will pick up on that. Yeah. And if they aren't, that's a reflection of you. And I think that you need to go and perform your due diligence and connect with the right people then. Yeah, there's always some way that you can improve yourself and bring yourself more opportunities. And with all of the resources available in music, graphic design, all that stuff, I just don't want to hear it anymore from anybody saying, "Oh, there's no opportunities." There's tons, there's and a lot of them are free too. Yeah,
so. Nowadays there's just so much stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm low key hating on like all these apps, Fiverr, all these different services. Where it's like, I think eventually us designers are gonna be a little bit obsolete because like. I mean, one thing I will say, you'll get what you pay for too.
Sure,
a lot of times. But I've seen some like amazing stuff, like on Fiverr, where people charge cheap, and I'm like, damn, I wish I could charge that much.
Yeah.
Or help people out that good, but I just can't. Yeah. Or the other thing too is like these apps. I trip out like on all these apps, like they pretty much do the work for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's like, dang, like I think someone's gonna prefer paying this than this. Mm-hmm. But I mean, people also look for that unique
touch to it,
and style. I mean, I've been told gratefully and that I have a certain style to my stuff, even though sometimes I don't even see it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think one thing I will say too is always I think it's smart to also try to be open-minded to work something out than just do things for free too.
Yes.
Like figuring something out with that person or people.
Yeah.
Because like I understand, like one thing I do kind of hate on a bit on people who like book artists.
Yeah.
Is like sometimes, especially when artists are not known and they don't pay them. Mm-hmm. Like for example, me when I put it on a show, I try to make it clear. I'm like, look, if the show ends up being profitable some way or another, like I'm down to hook you guys up with something.
Sure.
But if it doesn't, like at least I'm gonna keep you in mind for the future.
Yeah.
And try to make those possibilities happen for you. Because like I know that's one thing sometimes people go through with the artists is like, oh, I have to do these shows for free all the time, and I'm like, I think after a while, it's just about you being like stern and be like, yo, if you really want me, just kick me down at least with this.
Yeah.
You know, gas, this and this.
The venue, all that shit.
Yeah,
Practice,
like, you
too.
know, let me, because this at least shows me that you care about me and my art and what I do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a catch-22, you know. You just gotta keep a balance with it. So
yeah. And so for the artists that you're working with, do you guys all sit down and have a game plan? Like, do you guys have these monthly meetings or whatever? Or is it more of like a pretty organic, like, hey, I hop on the phone with each of these artists every now and then and when the time comes and when we need it? Or are you very like methodical, very strategic? What's kind of like your like model with all these artists?
It's been a journey, man.
Yeah.
I was telling Ryan, I'm not the very organized person. Mike helps me out a lot with that. But we definitely try to be strategic and we try to plan. But then at the same time, like for me, I'm the type of person that likes to find a balance of both ends of the spectrum because I don't ever feel like one way is always the right way, like this specific way. So like one thing I've learned is sometimes when you over prepare, like sometimes the things don't happen. It's always like talk. And I'm kind of more of the dude that's like all about action.
Totally.
So like I try my best, especially with them, to meet in the middle. But it's not easy, especially when it's a group of different people who have their own ideas.
Yeah.
So we try as best as possible to hear everybody out and mesh everything well together and plan it out as best as possible. I know one thing that has been helpful throughout the year is focusing on encouraging each person and their strengths.
Nice.
So like I suck, like I said, at organizing and all these kind of things. I feel like Mike has taken that over and like helps me out a lot and then does that with everybody else.
Nice.
And then we got, you know, like someone, let's say, Elon, she helps a lot with like media work. And then I do that too, but now I don't feel like I'm the only one that has to do it.
Yeah.
So it's basically us finding all that balance and picking each other up and our weaknesses and strengths and then just like meshing well to do, you know, the best work as possible.
Yeah.
But I will say this, nothing ever works out perfectly. I mean, there's always hiccups. Obviously, we're going to strive for that perfection or the best product ever. But it's still, you know, when you're doing everything on your own and you got small budgets, it's going to be some hiccups. And
that's entrepreneurship.
Sometimes, I think sometimes like the execution is more important than the perfection sometimes.
Yeah.
You know? It's a good balance though. I mean, obviously you want to get it as best as possible, but I think that's something like we realized along the journey too is like, if you just execute, like a lot of the times, like things start to work themselves out, but you have to take that step.
Yeah.
A lot of people like, you know, get in their heads a lot and like they don't take the step because like, oh, it's got to be perfect. And then a year goes by and it's like, oh shit, like that whole pandemic, you could have done this, but you didn't because you were scared. It was the wrong thing, you know? So.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that you never truly know what's right. Because I come from a very formal marketing background, so I'm always like, it's up to the consumer. It's up to the market or whoever's going to consume it. So you should not sit for 10 years and develop a product. You should develop like prototype, beta. Number one, give it to people and say, what do you guys think? Is it shit? Oh, cool. Now that I've actually seen like some real world results, now I can kind of fix this.
Yeah.
And it's a little harder with creative stuff because, you know, as you said, it's hard, you know, no one's really right at the end of the day because it's creative. A lot of it's opinionated. But I do think that a good practice is, and this is something I'm hearing in the music industry like daily now, is done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that today in 2021 is extremely relevant, just given all the social channels and the ability to access people like you and to have something done soon, like very soon, you know what I mean? So that's something that I keep in mind a lot when I'm like talking to music artists or doing my own creative project or any business project that I'm doing, you know, is done is better than perfect.
And I struggle with that a lot this year, and he knows that too. I've got very like perfectionist, like we need to be the right, like it's got to be right the way, you know what I'm saying? But I think, like I said, I think the execution is better. And the tricky part about the music industry, I think, is like, I feel like the more you know, the more you learn, the more you get in your head. Because like everyone has their own opinions about shit. You should do it this way. You should do it this way. And you got like 5 people telling you like, no, just do it this way. But then you lose touch of like what you really want. And then it's like everyone has their own opinions about shit. Even if people are successful, they're still telling them, yo, you should do this. Like, I hate when you do this. Like, it's like, bro, like, I'm successful. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's working. Like, why? Of course, you're going to have an opinion. But I was a victim of that a lot this year. I think that was, like, the biggest thing I learned. Execution over perfection, you know? Especially as an artist, like, it could be tricky because you obviously want to come off a certain way. And, like, not like you want to stay authentic, of course, but you kind of want to... You want to move right, you know what I'm saying, to get people's, because you need attention, you know what I'm saying, like you don't want to just do anything, but it's like, you know, if other people are making moves and you're not, you're kind of falling behind, you know what I mean, so it's kind of
I mean, it's tough. I mean, I've worked with some artists where, especially when you get stuck with like labels and stuff, I feel like what sucks about labels, and you know what, like, I don't necessarily hate on labels, honestly, too much either, because, like, being in the position that I've been, like, with the guys, because, you know, sometimes, you know, I'm the one that has to, you know, invest financially in things.
A lot of times, logically, they make sense. Labels make
logically,
sense, you know?
labels, they do their job.
Yeah.
You know, they're putting their money up front for you, and just like anything else, they want their return and more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily hate on them entirely, but the one thing I do think that sucks, especially nowadays, is that everybody's so caught up with all these numbers and all these different things. And I feel like the cool thing now, being able to, when you're like an independent or you're doing your own thing, like I was talking to Ryan earlier, like, you don't have to be mad famous to be successful, honestly, in my opinion. You know, all you just need is a strong core fan base that support you and believe in what you do. And they're the ones that are going to be buying your records. They're the ones that are going to be buying your merch. They're the ones that are going to be coming out to your shows. So, like, you know, I just feel like the main key for artists, I always tell them, is like, yo, just do what makes you happy. Honestly, like, you know, if you want to be doing this at this moment, then do that. If you want to be doing this at this moment, then do that. Because that's one thing I also think we forget is us as humans. We all go through different seasons in our life.
Totally.
You know, sometimes they're shitty. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're really great. You got those seasons when you're in love.
Sometimes it's rock bottom.
Yeah, so it's like, and then like for you guys who express yourself musically, you're gonna express that at that moment, you know. And so like, me personally, I just try my best to cater towards that, especially with my guys, and I try not to, I try not to like put them in a box. But at the same time, though, I do try my best to be like giving them my opinion on things.
Sure.
But yeah, I think in the long run, you know, it's just being happy in what you do.
I think that box that you're talking about is I think that's the trickiest part about this whole shit, because logically, right, there's a box you got to fit into to sell consumer.
Yeah.
A plus B equals C. I make this if I do this and stick to that, right? But then, you know, if you're an artist who really loves, you know, different things, like it could be tough to. Now you're kind of miserable in the box. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you're making money. But is that really what your heart's like happy about? You know what I'm saying? So that's the trickiest part about this whole shit. And you know, we've been going through that a lot too. Because I think, you know, as time progressed, you know what I'm saying, like he got really into his business role as he should, because he's a great manager, you know what I'm saying? And I think, like, you know, me as an artist I was kind of following him and like what other people were saying too, and I lost my way a little bit, and I kind of got a little depressed this year. I'm not gonna lie, like pretty bad. So it's tricky, bro. Like it's tricky out here, straight up. But I like what you said though. It's like what you want to do, like just do that and like execute whatever. Like you said, you don't have to be like super famous to like get results. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what do you want? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and I think I want to call it like the middle class of music artists has grown so much, meaning that, 4 or 5 decades ago, it was like you're either at rock bottom, you're not an artist, or you're the biggest artist in the world.
Yeah.
Like in the 80s, like you're either Metallica, Motley Crue, or Def Leppard, or you're a fucking nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as we spoke earlier, all these channels that are available and resources, I think the middle class of what's available in terms of like, I tell artists, hey, if you want to make $50K a year as a music artist and have a cool, stable musical job and send your kid to college and live in like a nice house and just kind of chill and do your thing, like that's possible today, which is cool. If you want to be a multimillionaire, Dua Lipa, whatever, you can also accomplish that too. But everything in the middle is so much more accessible and possible. And I had a conversation with another music manager, a friend of mine in my network yesterday, and he owns a label called Hit Scope, and he's an artist manager, and his name's Danny Barros. He's a great guy. I encourage everyone to go check out his stuff if you're listening, because he's really a great guy in the business. And he told me, he said, Jacob, if you have 1,000 super fans and each one pays you $100 over the course of 12 months, $100, that's it, over 12 months, that's $100,000.
Yep.
And I went, holy shit. And then I thought in my head, I went, okay, let's scale that down. What if you can get 1,000 super fans to pay you $10 a month each? That's $100,000. Someone check my math. I'm sitting here, I'm like, wait a minute, am I a business guy? I don't know. But but it's $100,000. And I was like, and with Patreon and OnlyFans, and you don't have to do porn to do OnlyFans. I'm just saying, you can put other stuff on OnlyFans, But I thought about that, and I was like, wow, there's so much potential for an artist to make a stable career, and I think that's cool. Like, you don't have to be MJ, you don't have to be this huge superstar. Like, you can make a good living. You could probably make 6 figures, send your kids to college, have a nice car, have a house, and just live. And then maybe get like a publishing deal or something, or be a songwriter or something. There's so much that artists can do, and that's one of the biggest things I've learned in the last 6 to 8 months, really networking and being in the industry and reading, is that there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm very excited about that.
I think going along from what he said too is like the most important part with that though is like you got to know exactly what you want. You got to have clarity.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times too, it could take a few years to get that, like, to know exactly what you want. You have to go through it. You have to learn. You have to fail. You have to meet these people so that you know what's really going on. Like, if you take this route, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like. And I'm only 24. I'm about to be 24 this month, but I'm only fucking 24, and I feel like I already learned so much. But I think that clarity is the key, and I think that's tricky because, when you're coming up, especially as a music artist, when you're first coming up, the first thing you say to yourself when you first start is, "I want to be the biggest artist in the world, nothing less." I look up to MJ, Chris Brown, Justin Bieber. I want to be the best. You know what I'm saying? But over time, I think as you get more adult, you kind of realize the options, and it's like, okay, what I really want, so I think that clarity, I don't know if you can relate to that at all.
No, yeah. I mean, it's funny that he brings up, OnlyFans and Patreon, but I want to say OnlyFans real quick, because, I know people will have different opinions on those who use that platform, but it's like, yo, they use the tool and they're making money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I trip out how, I mean, granted, I know some of them use it for, dirty ass reasons. But what I'm trying to say though is that they found something to make their money. And it's crazy because I remember seeing posts where most of the time it would be a girl, right? And she would be like, I bought a house now because OnlyFans takes care of it. And I was like,
that's rad.
I was like, damn, what? That's crazy. Yeah. And then it's true, like you said, OnlyFans is not technically only for that. It's just the whole idea about exclusive content.
Their creators knew low-key that was going to be their shit.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's crazy because, I feel like people have tapped into that, but a lot of people still haven't either. Because I feel like what sucks and is hard is to put time aside to create that content too. And I know that's not always like easy.
That's a whole monster in itself.
Yeah. So like for example, some of my guys, they got families. They got a child, a wife, and like I know it's not easy for them to create content because it's like, yo, I got time for my family, I got time for work, and then I got time for the music. So it's hard to find that balance to create the content. But I feel like if you really want something,
go get it.
You're gonna do what you gotta do. I mean, like for me, I'm 32 now. I'm not balling or anything, but I'm super glad to say that I'm my own boss per se.
Yeah.
I got my car. I got a house that I live in. Rent, of course. I don't own it.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I've been able to survive. I survived throughout the pandemic.
Nice.
And I was able to take care of my mom during that time.
Nice.
And I'm like super grateful for that,
Yeah.
So I feel like anything's possible. It's just really, you just got to put in the work. There's no way around that. And I feel like that's one thing everybody knows, but they don't take the action of doing it. You got some people, I feel like there's people who are built to do that, and some people that they don't mind working a 9-to-5 job. And that's not bad either. That's cool if they're down with that. More power to them.
I just think everything has benefits and consequences.
Yeah,
What I'm saying?
Always
it's
pros
just,
and cons.
what do you want? What do you want? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are you cool with these benefits and these cons, or you know what I'm saying? Like if I don't work 9 to 5 because I know that it will take away from my ability to create and like really dive into my artistry. But my consequence for that is I have a lack of money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so, and then that fizzles into like my projects and like I have a smaller budget, whatever. But I'm getting better at what I do more. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what do you want? You know what I mean? I feel like, again, the clarity is like, even with OnlyFans thing too, again, like same with you, like you got a resource and you use it. Okay, more power to you. You know what I'm saying? Like I respect it. Obviously, there's cons to like putting yourself out like that, in a dirty way. Now people are going to look at you a certain way.
Yeah.
I'm sure like you're not going to really, you're probably going to struggle getting a spouse because like, I don't know.
So many different things.
But there's just cons to everything.
But there's smart ways of doing it too. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like I follow a lot of photographers that I saw that they created OnlyFans and they exclusive content on there. Normally that means some of the photography is more implied.
Yeah.
Some nudity, but some of those photographers are more like creative and artsy type. So, but I thought that was cool because it's like, yo, if you really care for this art form and you really like this guy's work, you're not gonna mind, paying this amount just to see the creativity that he's doing.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of like, going to the movies. You're paying to go see a movie, but you're also seeing an artistic vision of like a director showing his artwork. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, it's cool that you brought that up because I've actually been thinking about trying to start up like a Patreon or something like that.
Yeah.
'Cause those platforms are there, and I feel like not enough of us like take advantage of them and use them for what we do. Yeah. Because people, like I was saying earlier, if you have a nice fan base or people who just like to support you, they're gonna support you.
Yeah.
Even if it's $10 a month.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, if it's 20 people, right? They're giving you, $5 a month. That's $100. That's $100 you didn't have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
So
well, I think some creators can think that they don't have financial value in their work, and I think that's bullshit. I think that they may have a self-induced lack of confidence in their work, and they don't think that people will pay for it.
Yeah.
A great example is like artists selling merch. I always think you should do market research. You should always see like, okay, really, before I print out these t-shirts or whatever, will people buy them? But since we're talking about Patreon, it's like, dude, I'm pretty sure it's free to create a Patreon account. I think they have a model where you can have them take like a percentage out, but your account is free. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
but,
I believe that's how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, that just goes to show if you can just take that step and then take real good pride and confidence in your work and say, okay, I want to make this financially valuable. If maybe you yourself don't believe it, you need to ask yourself, how can I make this financially valuable? And I think something that's so crazy, like I've been like consulting with a few rock bands recently and talking to a lot of people in rock. And when I was hanging out with my buddy yesterday, he gave me a statistic. He was like rock has the highest consumption of merchandise out of all the genres, right? So it's like, okay, if you're a rock artist listening to this and you think, oh, I don't have anything that people would like, whatever. It's like, dude, you can do a limited run of t-shirts, but the link is only available on your Patreon or something like that, right? There's always some sort of way to create financial value. And if you don't think that music can create financial value, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there's more people on streaming platforms than ever, and there's a lot of opportunities. So I think that people should take pride in their creative work. Just because it's creative doesn't mean that you don't have to get paid. You should get paid, because not everybody is creative. I would say the opposite. Most people aren't creative. So there is financial value in creativity. Let me transition to something. Speaking of creativity, how did you land your role as the lead designer at HipHopDX?
So that happened because just my design career building with, I don't know if you guys are familiar, but there is a CHH culture out there, which is Christian hip hop. And I used to be very involved in that culture for a while.
Is it Christian?
Christian,
okay.
yeah. That's pretty much where like I even started too. A lot of my design work was like a bunch of different Christian artists. And so I made some relationships with like different people who have like their own independent labels and stuff like that. And so then one of them, my friend, his name is Doc. He connected me with the owner of HipHopDX. And the owner was looking for someone to work with. And I had done some work with Doc for like some of their cover art and different things. I did some work for their like flyers for South by Southwest. Like I've done a couple of things for them. So he connected me with them, and I had a meeting. We spoke. At the time, I was working at a design firm in Orange, and that's just how it happened. We connected. I started off as a freelancer, just doing some gigs here and there for them.
Nice.
And the cool thing is he really liked the way I worked and my style. One thing that's been beneficial with our relationship is that, and that he likes, is that for the most part, there's not a lot going back and forth when I do something. It's always like minor details. And so that's obviously really nice, because I've been in situations where you got to do so many revisions and like all kinds of stuff to please somebody. And so working with them has been real cool and great. I mean, I definitely enjoy it because it's in the world of hip hop, and I love hip hop, and it's cool being a part of it. And then it's weird because I sometimes don't even think of it as that much of a big of a deal, honestly. But then he reminds me sometimes. He's like, bro, I don't know if you realize, but like all these changes you've helped us do on the site and this and this and that, like you got millions of people seeing this. You got thousands of people seeing this, and you're the one that's a part of that. And I was like, shit, damn, I didn't even think about that stuff. And it's true though, because like even the smallest things on like the thumbnails for YouTube videos, it's a trip, because that stuff matters, man, for you to get clicks.
Absolutely.
And like for a while, all I cared about was like, does it look good, right? But then with them, I've learned like, nah, there's a little bit more to that. Like you got to make sure you're using the correct imagery, wording,
the marketing behind it.
Yeah, like so you can pull people in. And then when I see like, they tell me like, yo, did you see that video with the thumbnail? It already got like 100K views or like this and that. I'm like, shit, that's crazy. Like,
so there is a noticeable difference, like in terms of data, like numbers. Like when you use a thumbnail with these certain components versus this, there is a numerical.
I bet, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten into that, stuff, but that's what they always explain to me.
That's the guys on the team. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because they HipHopDX actually this year, I think it was earlier this year, they actually got acquired by Warner Music now. So technically, I work for Warner Music. And so, obviously, they got a team of people who, know about all that stuff.
They got the spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, I forget, that stuff. And those are things that I'm even learning with them. And that's one thing I always, I tell people too, you never stop learning. Especially nowadays, how things are rapidly changing.
Crazy.
You just never stop learning. And so, working with them has been great.
It's amazing.
I'm grateful for that. For them, and I just I hope it continues, and I don't know where it's gonna go from there, but I definitely don't plan on leaving them anytime soon.
Nice, man.
But it's been cool. It's been real cool working with them.
Well, I'm glad things are going good for you, man, and the results obviously show it. You're killing it, and for the upcoming artists listening, if I can poke and prod at you a little bit, I want to try to get some information out of you. If you can share for everybody who uses YouTube, if you can give some tips hey, when you're making your thumbnail, try this, try that. I know maybe some of it's secret, but to the upcoming artists listening, if you could give any of that away.
Man, I mean, honestly, one thing for sure we always got to remember is that I don't know the exact numbers, but the majority of the people nowadays are viewing things through their phone.
Okay.
So that's one thing I had to learn.
Yeah.
Because I was so used to designing for desktop or big or print.
Yeah.
So you always want to make sure when you're designing your thumbnails or anything that it looks good on the phone. Number one,
you can see
So especially with DX, I learned make sure the text is big enough. Make sure things are legible. Make sure. Also, try to make sure you try to sort of tell a story within your thumbnails, because I don't know, for example, let's say your video's about, I don't know, cooking pancakes or something, right? If you don't got an image or some sort of pancakes on your thumbnail, it's kind of dumb because the video is about that. So you want to make sure you're showing clearly something about pancakes on there. And
real quick, sorry to interrupt. I do want to say that what you're saying, some people might say, oh, okay, that sounds, makes sense. But it's you'd be surprised how many YouTube videos you go view about a certain topic. And it's okay, example, cooking pancakes. Am I going to look at the one that's got the nice fluffy pancakes with the girl holding the pancakes and
exactly.
she's putting toppings on it and it's got the big text? Or am I going to just look at the one that's black and white and just says, let's make pancakes?
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because learning with them and realizing after going, I mean, you guys can go and check out huge channels, for example, me, I'm low key a little bit of a nerd, so I follow IGN, right? I don't know if you're familiar with that. So they
is it gaming?
It's gaming, movies, a lot of things like that. Or for example, you guys can go to DX's channel, or just you'll notice that, especially for the bigger companies, they try to include their branding, but at the same time, they're trying to make sure you're showing off whatever it is you're showing in the video. So for example, and then you can see this a lot now who YouTubers, big YouTubers, they'll show a screenshot of them doing whatever it is that they're talking about. And then in big words, they'll say something to capture the people's attention. Because one thing we got to remember nowadays too is we have short ass attention spans.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
For sure.
And so what is one of your favorite projects you've done with HipHopDX?
Oh man.
All of them?
They've all been cool, yeah. I think one of the fun ones I really get to, well, I'll say two. One is basically is ongoing. We're constantly updating the feel and look of the site. So he has a really dope vision to where he wants the site to get to, but obviously it takes steps.
Sure.
Because you got millions of people who go to the site, and you can't drastically change it from one point to the next, because then you'll lose people. They're like, what just happened, you know? So it takes steps and testing, but that's been one project for sure that's been interesting and fun being a part of. And then the other one is every year they do their own like awards, and so it's fun to do those because it's, you know, it's just all different categories that they hit, and it's just fun creating those graphics. And then last year was really fun because he went the extra step of printing these like lanyards but out of metal, and they were kind of like the awards that they sent out to people. And so it was just kind of cool just being a part of all that stuff.
That's what's up.
But I mean, it's hard to say. Those are probably the two bigger ones, but I mean, everything I've done has been great. So
that is so cool to work in such a creative role. That is so fun.
Yeah.
You know? And how do you deal with creative blocks?
Man.
And you get those, right? You get
I
creative
do.
blocks.
I do. But I feel like in the DX term, I don't as much, just because, how do I put it? Even though I get to be creative, there's still like a certain way of things that I try to lean it towards, because they already have a color scheme and brand that they're used to, and I've helped develop it to where it's at now too, but I still have built off of what they've had. You know, it's not like I did something from scratch entirely. But I do get creative blocks though, for sure, when I'm doing things like freelance work, or even for us at LegendaryMinds with the guys. Sometimes it's, you know, it's hard, but I feel like also I've kind of slowly over the years sort of like trained myself to like push through it.
Yeah.
And then one of the key things that I think that I learned is that if it's not coming out, like, you just gotta stop.
You gotta step away from it.
Step away,
bro. That's an art right there.
Yeah, you gotta step away, give yourself that day, maybe or two, and then come back and then get back on it. Because you can't. This is funny. Someone showed me this meme and it was so good. I forgot how it went. Oh, I think it was like this. It says something like this. I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you have to force it, then most likely it's gonna be shit.
That's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, it's not worth forcing something at all. And that's one thing I've had to learn over the years. And one thing I will say too, for sure, learning over the years, is you guys, we always got to give ourselves a break, man.
Yeah,
I know
for sure.
there's entrepreneurs and like business people who say you got to work 24/7, nonstop. But you know what, man? I don't believe it. I don't believe in that. I feel like you seriously got to take, if you can, the weekend, enjoy your weekend. You know, don't stress about all the other stuff. Even now, sometimes it's hard for me to give myself that time. But I for sure try my best to like not worry about, especially like DX stuff during the weekend. Unless, you know, there's times where like, you know, we're in a rush, or we're in the last straw of trying to get stuff done. Obviously, that's understandable. But I always encourage people like, yo, take a break when you need it. Like, there's no reason for you to work yourself that hard, because honestly, that just leads you to like sometimes anxiety, getting mad, stressful.
It's an interesting topic because I agree with you. I think that you definitely need you need that rest and like stepping away from it. But at the same time, it's tough because there's someone else who is putting in more of that time. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's the tricky part. Like, if you get that basketball mindset, which I read a lot of like shit like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you're not doing it, there's another kid doing it, and he's gonna take your slot. You know what I'm saying? So,
that's true. I mean, it's like I said, for me, I'm a real balanced guy.
Okay.
And I think it depends on you too. Like, not everybody's the same. But I do know for a fact though, from what I've seen, and this is just me, all kinds of different people. no matter what, you're gonna get to a point where you overwork yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
You know, that's just fact. I mean, we're humans. It's not like we're gods and we can do things unlimitedly. You know, so it's like, that's why I just feel like it's like I always tell people, no one knows you better than yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So if you know your limits, and so like if you finally hit that point where it's like, yo, I think I should take a break, then just take it. You know, take a vacation or whatever it is, you know. But I know sometimes that's hard because even for me, that's the downfall sometimes of working from home is that I like even till now I sometimes could procrastinate.
Yeah.
But then at times I tell myself like, yo, it's not really me procrastinating. It's just me taking my time to do what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that procrastination, the pressure, last minute kind of brings results too. You know what I mean? So
I've had that happen to me too, where last minute stuff is like, oh shit, this came out really dope. And then I was like working on this forever, and it's like it didn't even come out the way I wanted to, but even better now. So it just depends.
Yeah, I look at it, well, for what you were saying, Ryan, the other guy's doing it. My mentality is fuck the other guy. That to me, that's only like 10% of it. Like, of course, you have to look at the competition. You got to look at the guy next to you, running next to you, to figure out at what pace they're going at. But for me personally, I look at it as what is going to help you produce the maximum amount of output with the limited resources that you have. So if I'm looking at the other guy and he's able to push out A, B, and C working 5 days a week, and working every morning. I personally, Jacob Moore, does not like to work in the morning. I don't. I like to wake up, go to the gym. I like to take my vitamins. I like to get my day in order. I like to start working like 11 or 12. I don't like to work in the morning. I like to do all the self-care, mental health type stuff in the morning. And so it's like, okay, well, maybe my competition's working in the morning, but can I forego me working in the morning and still put out A, B, and C? If so, okay, I don't give a fuck that guy's working in the morning. I don't care. It's what works for me. And it's like, okay, if I can figure out now also what helps me produce A, B, C, and D, E, F, G, then I'm onto something. Because I was very, very like, shit, dude, I didn't get up at 5 today, 5 a.m., whatever. And then I read me and Ryan are huge fans of this guy named Tim Grover. Have you ever heard of him?
Nah.
He's an athletic coach and business coach, and he trained Michael Jordan and Kobe and Dwayne Wade and a bunch of people. And he has a book called Winning, and in it he said, I don't care if you're in the gym at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. What is going to give you the best workout? And I was like, damn. And then I kind of applied that because I was like going to the gym at all these different times trying to figure it out. And like for me, working out at like about 10 a.m. is what gives me the best workout, sets my day up right. I have a phone call with Ryan at 11. I feel great. Like, so I found what works for me. And I think you said something like that earlier, like everybody's different. Figure out what is going to produce the maximum output for you, because you're not the same as the guy next door. So,
I agree.
Yeah, that was my gem right there.
That's dope.
Yeah, man. Yeah, well, hey, bro, I really appreciate you coming on the episode, man. I think that I really like your role, and I like what you do. And this was something that's kind of new, like you having your creative graphic design role, also in music, being very entrepreneurial. Like, I feel like this was a really good discussion for everybody.
And most importantly, I feel like you're like a genuine dude. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you're a good guy, bro.
Very easy to talk to and just like vibe with. You know what I'm saying? And I think we value that more than anything on the podcast.
Totally.
You know, because I think, especially in the music industry, there's a lot of people who they got an ego, or it's just kind of like it's kind of hard to break that wall with them or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're all out here just like trying to get better and like hang out and do music and shit like that. You know, so
but I will say, JR shoe game going crazy, going crazy, man.
Crazy.
This guy pulls up and. Dude,
this fool pulled up in Travis Scott fragments at the event, and he had his mom lace him up. I was like, "Oh shit!"
I looked at my Vans. I went, "Fuck."
That's funny. I had to have my mom lace him up.
That's
I was busy.
That's what's up.
That's dope, man. So, is there anything you want to leave anybody with in terms of like projects you have coming up, Legendary Mind stuff, things people could be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can follow us at LegendariMinds, but Legendary spelled with an I, not a Y, on Instagram. And then we also have a site too, LegendaryMinds.com. And yeah, I mean, just be on the lookout. We're gonna be dropping a project. I think we're looking at March right now, but in between, we're gonna be having some shows. We're gonna be dropping a single pretty soon, some videos. Like there's stuff coming up for sure, but for sure, it's all leaning up towards the project, and that's been a long time coming. I'll tell you that much. And so we're looking forward to it. And then at the moment right now, actually, we just dropped a mixtape.
Nice.
And it's on SoundCloud. You guys can go check it out at LegendariMinds as well. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And then if you're interested also in following me or checking out any of the stuff that I'm doing, you could find me at ZXMBIAC. It's spelled ZXMBIAC. I know it's a little confusing, but just
he got an X in his name too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So.
And so, are you open to doing any freelance work for anybody or clients, or do you do stuff?
Yeah,
like that?
I mean, I'm always open to working with people. I'm always open to build relationships with people. Yeah. People can reach out to me anytime for design work, photography, even film work too. I do a lot of video work with a partner of mine. So yeah, I mean, and not even just that. Like, if anybody wants to hit me up, I'm always down to talk. I'm not one of those guys that feels like I'm above everybody or something.
Yeah.
Like, anybody can reach out. I'm down to chop it up.
Dope, man.
Yeah.
He's like, but for a project, you got to meet that minimum fee, baby. That minimum.
That for sure. Unfortunately, yeah, there is definitely minimums. But like I said, I'm still always about that dude that doesn't mind bartering or figuring something out if it makes sense. If it makes sense on both ends, there's nothing wrong with that. So like I said, it doesn't hurt to reach out. That's one thing I will say, and I think I'll leave you guys with that is never be afraid to reach out. It's almost like that thing where people say if you hit up 10 girls, one of them is eventually going to give you your number or whatever.
Yeah.
Same thing with opportunity. Like, just hit up people, and if you get a chance to, like, cool. Yep. So.
Dope. Icing on the cake. JR, thank you so much, brother.
No,
Appreciate
you.
Thank
you guys. Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, insiders, peace out. Yo, what's up, insiders? This is Jacob Moore. Thanks for listening to Inside the RV. Follow me on Instagram at JACXBMOORE. And make sure to follow Ryan too, at Ryan Ramirez Official. We appreciate you guys supporting our show. Make sure to spread the word about Inside the RV, and thanks for listening.